podcast episode is brought to you by Bran Flakes. Bold new taste, Bran Flakes. Anyone here know the reference? Anyway, this is Arbor Creek's Battle Supreme. If you like this podcast, make sure you follow the show and leave us a rating review. We'd appreciate it a lot, and it helps more people discover it. I'm joined alongside here by David Drilling, our lead singer, diagnosed with LSD long ago. That's lead singer syndrome.
Oh. Disorder.
My bad. Oh. And I'm also, across from me is Frank Dvorak, our drummer, and our guitar player, Larry Huff. The yin to my yang. All right, David, take us away.
What's up, everybody? On this week's episode, we're going to be doing Stone Temple Pilots versus Alice in Chains. We got two great bands, two 90s, 2000s era rock bands. Some great stuff. Very excited to talk about both of them. I grew up listening to a lot of these bands, so very excited to get into it. We are going to kick things off, as always, in the 1-point round with the vocals. So, Stone Temple Pilots, you got Scott Weiland. Alice in Chains, you got Lane Staley. Let's kick it off with Al. Give us your take. Tell us your pick. Let's get it going.
Aye.
So right off the bat, I appreciate both singers, and I'm a really big fan of Scott Weiland's voice back in the day. But my decision, I'm going to go with Lane Staley because I think he brings a little more originality to the table, and they got that whole vocal duel thing going on with Jerry Cantrell, and he's a good singer too. And they really complement each other, and they got the whole background vocal thing going on, like almost kind of the whole time when in every song, and I really like it. And the note choices that the other guy uses together, it's almost kind of ominous and haunting in a way, but in a good way. It complements their note choices in their songs and stuff like that.
Spooky.
Yeah,
Spooky.
It is very complimentary.
So I am going Alice in Chains.
Sweet. I like that. I can agree with you on the whole harmony thing. It's really, really good in Alice in Chains. They really killed it. And it gave it such a unique vocal sound where you're like, damn, that's Alice in Chains. Just anytime you hear any other band do that kind of harmony, you're like, oh, that's some Alice in Chains type thing. So very unique. Larry, who you gonna go with? What's your take?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains for pretty much the same reasons as you guys. The vocal harmonies are so them, and it's such an Alice in Chains staple to the band. And you can kind of say the same thing about Scott Weiland and the vocals in STP, but it's not as dominant and not as triumphant as Alice in Chains. I'm gonna go Alice in Chains.
All right, it's a good take, Frank. How you feeling on this?
Feeling pretty good. I'm gonna go with the band that I think definitely has the edge. Really, only because that they have two singers.
Fair enough.
And it becomes one bigger voice.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Alice in Chains.
And there we have it. I'll have to say that I don't get a vote. But I think I would go with Scott on this one, being the oddball out here, because they're both great, and I love the harmony thing. And Lane Staley had an insanely powerful voice, but I think I just like Scott's rock and roll persona and sound that he has a lot. And if we're also talking lyrics, both bands have great lyrics, but there's something about the STP lyrics that I also really enjoy because they just have a lot of really cool lines and weird words, and the way he puts stuff together, and they put a lot of the lyrics together, I just found it really interesting. A lot of good stuff there. And I like Scott a lot. But both of them are great. You can't go wrong. And Alice in Chains is going to take the point. And the first point of the battle. Next up, we're going to move on to guitar. STP, you have Dean DeLeo. DeLeo, I don't know how you pronounce it properly, but
Delio.
DeLeo. And Jerry Cantrell. Let's start it off with Frank. Work your way around.
This is definitely a hard one. I mean, I do love both of their guitar playing. And I mean, they're both, it's kind of funny, like they're both the same, like the same exact thing in each band. Like they're both lead guitar player and like the main songwriter.
Yes.
So, but I guess if I were to pick one, I'd say I like the rock and roll vibe that STP is giving off with the way they play guitar.
A lot of good riffs, man.
It reminds me of Zeppelin a lot.
And a lot of Zeppelin in there. That's something I would like to add to that, too. Tons of Zeppelin chords and, like...
There are a lot of things in Alice in Chains that sound like Sabbath to me, too.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of the dynamic here. We're talking about, like, 90s Sabbath influence, heavier band, and a more, like, Zeppelin rock influenced.
That's like my favorite part of 90s music in general is just that you get those vibes. Like, those are the kids that grew up listening to the prior stuff.
Definitely.
You know?
Yep. So you're going STP, right?
Yes. Yes,
right.
sir.
Larry?
I liked everything that Frank said, but to a counterpoint, I feel like Alice in Chains sounds like Led Zeppelin guitar-wise.
Really?
In a lot of ways, too. Yeah.
I think STP sounds more Zeppelin to me.
Definitely up front, Zeppelin goes STP. But there are some riffs that happen in Alice in Chains that you can hear like in a deep Zeppelin like live type session like feel. They kind of have that mood in some of their stuff. But I mean, as far as just straight guitar, yeah, I would probably go with Stone Temple Pilots too. I mean, I love the guitar riffs in there and just the songs. The songs are very guitar based, and you could say the same thing about Alice in Chains too. But I feel like Alice in Chains, like the vocal was like the big curtain like of the band.
Yeah.
Where in Stone Temple Pilots, the vocal and the guitar were like equal in power, and they like ran together in the race of like frontmen. At least that's how I feel, like how I interpret it in my ears. But yeah, I'm gonna go STP.
Awesome. Alex?
Yeah, I'm going the direct opposite route, and I'm definitely going with Alice in Chains because I don't know. Honestly, Jerry, like diving into him more, he's definitely a riff master. He's sick, and also I like all the effects and stuff he uses on his guitar. I mean, it's like different compared with the other guys doing. It's definitely like very reminiscent of the '80s, which like makes sense why like they were a glam band before that. But I mean, all his riffs and stuff are just super haunting and just like Sabbath, like Sabbath, like we're talking about STP Zeppelin to me, and like if you're talking about like their solos and stuff, I feel like Jerry, I mean, whatever technical ability, it's just what your taste comes out of. But he's definitely more of a shredder, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
So even though I know we lost already, I'm going with Alice in Chains.
Fair enough. Yeah. STP is going to take that point. And I already kind of gave some of my input, but both phenomenal. Both tons of great riffs, tons of great stuff. But I think a big reason why I lean towards the STP side on this one is that they have a lot of cool, softer songs with a lot of really cool guitar stuff.
Yeah.
Just like even like slide guitar in there and just like open tunings and like all this like just really, really, really cool stuff that I like. And I think that adds to the whole aspect because they have those rock riffs, but they also have like a whole nother side. And I think that's really cool. Next, we're going to move on to the bass. With STP, you got Robert DeLeo.
You know the dealio.
You know the Delio. They're calling Delios now. I got the Delio brothers.
Oh, shit.
And Alice in Chains, technically you kind of have two to work with Mike Starr. It was the original.
Yeah, the OG, and then Inez.
And then, Mike Inez came in like, what, 94 or something like that?
Like the third album, and he's still with them.
Yeah, so we can count both. So however you want to look at it. We're talking just overall, So, Al, if you want to kick it off.
Okay, so I do like the bass in Alice in Chains like songs. I do like the overall tone, and I like that like mid-rangey like trebly vibe with the picking, and I don't know what dropped in the background, but it's all good. And but I'm going to go with Robert DeLeo because to me, and I mean I know we've been talking about them sounding like Zeppelin, but it literally sounds like if John Paul Jones was in a hard rock band. He does. He literally plays just like him. He just grooves hard, honestly. Just listen to like what he's playing in like Interstate Love Song. He's like freaking grooving underneath everything, and like as soon like I listened to it again like this morning, just prepping for this, and I just started laughing. I'm like, dude, he sounds like JPJ. So he's one of my faves. So all the way,
Very nice.
STP baby.
Larry Huff.
Shit. So, I mean, I'm not like, I can't go on forever talking about these two players. Like, I'm not like well into them, like, to be honest. But off the top of my head, if I'm going just listening to these bands and I'm hearing the bass, I'm gonna go with STP, just because of the fact, kind of as you said, they just have a wider like horizon of sounds. I feel, and to have just more variety in the sound, and the bass is definitely a factor in that. So I'm gonna go with STP.
All right. Frank?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with STP also. For both of the reasons that these guys each said, because before Al said it, I was thinking like they kind of have that. I mean, they're brothers, so they're related. You kind of get that feel that there's
Play
always
together,
Yeah, they play
meld
together their
together.
whole lives. Like they know each other. Like it's just cool to hear, how they play together and what they decide to play.
Definitely. Yeah, I think STP is going to take this one. Both great bass players, a lot of good stuff. Well, 3. We're basically talking about 3. Alice in Chains does have some great bass stuff in there. Got a lot of. It just feel like. So STP, I feel like, has that more of that separation between the guitar and the bass, where Alice in Chains, I feel like, is more put together
100%.
more of the time, where it's like they're playing a lot of the same stuff more of the time, and which is sometimes what is needed. But I feel like that's probably why I lean towards STP. Those like I feel like you got a little bit more different bass lines in there.
Yeah.
Just more of a.
Like in Alice in Chains, the bass is like the belly of the beast. You know what I mean? Like, but they're all just riding on the same, like the riffs.
Yeah, the riff.
But
riff
they're
is
not.
what the
Yeah,
main thing is.
and the bass is there for that and gives it that substance.
But there are
it's
some
not-
sick bass parts
Yeah,
in
I'm not
Alice in
knocking
Chains
it at
too.
all.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Like on
not
Rain,
knocking it.
Rain When I Die, like there's a bass intro to the song,
Hell yeah.
and it's just fucking
Right.
do 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 boom do do. It's so low and
And like
The
yeah,
bass.
bellow-
it's
like
great. It is
bellowing.
wild.
Most definitely. All right. Yeah, they are. We're going to move on to the drums. STP, you got Eric Kretz, and Alice in Chains, you have Sean Kinney. Let's start off with Frank. Which band do you like the drums more?
Both are really good. Like the reason when we were talking about like how Alice in Chains sounded like Black Sabbath, I put that a lot on the drummer, like the way the drums are played and like the beats, and he's doing like off time stuff, and it is really sick. But I just feel like I connect more with the STP drummer. I don't know. He just plays some things. I'm just like, I can't even play because sometimes I can't even tell what the count is or
Yeah,
like
what's
where
the
the
one
one is. Shit, even on fucking Vaseline, like the whole beat of the song, like the way
I was just gonna bring that up.
it fades, the whole track fades in. So like you never really hear where they start. You just hear it, like they're like in the middle of the riff.
There's another song. Hold on. I can't think of it, but somewhere.
Plus, he plays some really cool like bongo stuff and like on Pretty Penny, like it's like all bongos and like
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful song. Like a lot of that stuff adds in more ways than people think when you're listening to the song.
Can't think of what song it is, but it has that riff that's just like ba no 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 no
That's
no.
Vaseline.
That's Vaseline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that like how it starts. It's just like
Yeah, and the drum beat is just so. It doesn't go with that.
No.
It's like against it.
it's like really on the grid.
Yeah.
But because he's doing the da now, and that whole riff just is going over the bar continuously, just because
Yeah, it's wild.
it's not in like he's not like chung, 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 like it's like it's
Crazy.
wild.
It's a whirlwind.
Yeah, it is like a
It's
whirlwind.
And it's one of those things where when you listen to it casually and you're just listening and you're hearing the singing, you're like, don't think about it. But when you really listen to musically what's going on, you're kind of like, oh,
yeah.
damn. Oh, damn.
I listened to that song on vinyl, and I was sitting next to my one speaker, like in the back of the sofa, and you can literally hear a banjo part, which I've never heard ever, like in my car or in headphones.
Oh, that's crazy.
But there's like bing, 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 like the whole time. Also, it's wild. Yeah, it's really cool.
That is really cool. All right. It's like Frank's going to the STP side. Larry?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about Vaseline before Frank went on the tangent, so that was gonna be my lead. But I'll go with I'm gonna go with STP, and I also love like Interstate Love Song, how they just kind of like tick along and then just drop, and I don't know, it's, just like, it's easy to bop to, and he's got the pocket and the groove that I like,
Definitely.
and I'm gonna go with STP. But Alice in Chains does have that Bill Ward and that like sledge, like real like deep, slow shit. That's awesome too. But yeah, I'm just gonna stay with STP. Final answer.
All right. Big A.
You know, I'm gonna go the devil's advocate on this one again because I mean, honestly, I will say though, if you're talking about from a production standpoint, I like how Stone Temple Pilots drums sound more than they do in Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it sounds heavier and deeper, and I think I like drums that sound that way more. But I do really like how he plays. He grooves super hard, and he always does that. Like, he utilizes the toms a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And like all their songs kind of reminds me of what's his name, kind of like Tool, like Danny Carey, like they do that stuff like that. It gives me that vibe, and I feel like maybe in difference to Stone Temple Pilots, like Frank was saying earlier, Buddy from Alice in Chains, I think has a bigger influence on the sound than Kretz does on Stone Temple Pilots. Stone Temple Pilots kind of like the whole package, but yeah, for that reason, I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains.
Could agree with that.
It's really not a wrong. There's no wrong choice.
Oh yeah,
Both quality. Both perfect fits for the bands, too.
Oh,
when you think
definitely.
about it, I think that's the most important part when it comes
And
to
OG
this stuff.
members.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes it's just about the perfect fit. You got to have the right recipe,
Got that right fit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one day Frank will be officially in our band.
Yeah.
Still
yeah,
trying
he's
out.
still trying out. If
This is still a never going audition.
and if you never heard that, we never fully put him in the band. He's just been kind of auditioning for years.
I
He's
just
doing good. He's doing good.
I'm just lingering.
One day he'll get
There's
there.
a chance.
When the time is right.
So you're saying there's a chance?
what do you think, boys? Should we do it right here?
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready.
I don't know.
Got commitment issues. Sorry. All right. Moving on. We're going to enter the 2-point round here.
Oh shit!
Yeah. That's where it really starts to get serious. Things start to take a turn.
This is when I start to get worried.
Yeah, I know. Same, man.
Honestly, though,
He's biting his nails right now.
Yeah. Anxiety's kicking in.
Shaking in my boots.
Oh, God. Sorry to let that out.
shivers timbers.
All right. We are doing debut album. Who has the better debut album next? So, Stone Temple Pilots, You have Core, which you got Dead and Bloated, Sex Type Thing, Wicked Garden, Creep, Plush, bunch of bangers on there. Great debut from a great band. And with Alice in Chains, you're going to have Facelift, which is it's just another really good debut album. Obviously, you got Man in the Box on there. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. But even the opening song, We Die Young, Sea of Sorrow, Love, Hate, Love, bunch of bangers. So, let's kick it off with Al. Who do you think has the better debut album?
I do fuck with Man of a Box a lot, but I'm gonna go with Core because I think it has a lot more standout tunes on it. Where maybe, perhaps some of more of Alice in Chains standout stuff comes maybe on the next album. But yeah, and one of my favorite songs from STP is definitely "Dead and Bloated." Bloated. It reminds me of like I know Larry probably remembers like Uncle Jeff played that song a lot and stuff, and like that whole album's just sick, and it's super duper heavy, and like I always like I know before episodes like I always talk about like when I think of a debut album, it's like well what's the first song, and to me that fucking like just makes a statement.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
boom STP baby, that's me.
Yeah. That's a great way to kick that album off for sure. Larry, what album you gonna go with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with STP because, like Al said, we grew up listening to it. So, I mean, I do like the first album from Alice in Chains. I'm just not as familiar with it, and I just got to be honest with myself, and I just got to go with STP. I just know it so much more. I've listened to it so many more times, and yeah, STP.
All right. Frank, what's your take?
I feel like they're pretty even when it comes to both of the band's debuts, just because each of them, like, I mean, you could say every song is good on them if you're a big enough fan, I'm sure, but each one definitely has like the breakout song and like some of the other ones that were definitely you can tell were a little bit above all the others, and then each band's next album are phenomenal, so it's kind of like they're getting their shit together.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But I'm probably just gonna have to go with Alice in Chains.
All right.
Like the opening track on that one, also fire. Like I don't know, it's crazy. But Plush is also on the first STP album.
That's a lot of good songs
Yeah.
on that album, man.
Wicked Garden, man, Sleeper.
Yeah, Wicked Garden is fire also.
Great tune. Well, STP's going to take the first 2-pointer. Next, we're going to do song versus song. So with STP, we're going to do Wicked Garden.
Oh yeah.
And Alice in Chains, we're going to do Man in the Box. So talk about the songs. Talk about what we like from them. And choose what song you think is the better of the two. Let's kick it off with Frank. Come around the circle.
Let's think about this one. It's kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to pick, I'd probably say that Man in the Box probably made more of a impact, definitely.
Yeah, I think you could say that's their biggest song, right?
It is up there.
One of them.
It's definitely one of their most famous songs.
Definitely their first big song.
That's what like launched them into their whole career.
Yeah.
But then you got Rooster on the next one.
Yeah,
I would say
that
Rooster might be
the
their biggest song.
Yeah.
And then there's like
Rooster's probably the
Dirt
biggest.
is really good. Like every
yeah.
song on Dirt is really good. But I'm gonna have to go with Alice in Chains in this one.
All right.
But Wicked Garden is really good too, though. But
Yeah. Larry, out of the two, which song are you gonna choose?
See, I love Wicked Garden. I just gave it a shout out prior to I didn't even know that this was gonna be the song picked. But are like that song in the catalog of the rest of Stone Temple Pilots songs, and then Man in the Box and the rest of Alice in Chains songs. You know what I mean? They might be bigger when you're talking about each other's, music. So I don't really know. It's a tough one. I think I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains too,
All right.
and yeah, I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains. Love Wicked Garden, but I'm gonna stay with Alice in Chains, Man in a Box.
There you go. Al?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse here. I'm definitely going Man in the Box. So that riff is sick. The bow now 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 now, and I have a fun fact about the song, but I'm
Uh-oh.
gonna save it for the bonus round.
Fun
but I'm
fact.
picking Man in the Box.
All right. He's saving it
Fun
for
fact
the
Fridays.
bonus round. All right. Well, Alice in Chains is going to take the song versus song battle. Man in the Box. Can't beat it. Next up, we're going to do the album battle. And we decided to go a different route for this one. And we chose more modern albums from the bands, or you could say newer albums from the bands. So we're going to do Stone Temple Pilots 2010 self-titled and Alice in Chains Black Gives Way to Blue from 2009. I think they're both great albums, and at that time I was really into that type of rock music too. So it was exciting. I was excited when both these albums came out at that time, and I think what really stands out for me, I like both a lot. That Check My Brain riff, though,
You took the words out of my mouth.
it's just like, when I first heard that, I was like, yo, like, this is something, you know?
Real quick, I don't know if I'm pulling this out of my ass, but wasn't that for a wrestling event? Wasn't that song for a wrestling pay-per-view?
I'm sure it was. It was a big song at the time.
Because I
Can you
remember
look it
when
up?
this came out, and I was like, oh shit, Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Granted, Lane Staley wasn't there, but it's like, oh shit, Alice in Chains, and then it was for a wrestling pay-per-view. I could be wrong, but I feel like that happened, and I feel like that was a big reason why I knew about that song at that
It's very
time.
possible. I just remember it coming out, and it was hyped because
Yeah, for sure.
they were coming back with some new music, and the whole rock metal world was like, oh yeah, like, let's see what it's up. And then that was like the song that came out, and it just had that gnarly, I think he's like bending the string behind the nut. Like, I think that's what he was doing, like that, like, so yeah. But at the same time, when I sit down and listen to both of them, I think I do like the STP album more as a whole. And when I listened to both of them, I hearted on Spotify like songs that I really enjoyed, and the STP album had more of them, but just a few more. So I think, for me as a whole, the STP album I think I enjoy more, but at the same time, I don't have like a specific moment or memory like I do with the Alice in Chains riff. So that thing alone, like when it came out, really kind of had me from the beginning. But let's start off with Al and work our way around. What album do you like more?
Honestly, I think I like the Alice in Chains record better. Now, really, I mean, you talked about it earlier. The big driving factor behind that is definitely Check My Brain, because like at that time when I was like, I don't know, like 13 or something, it left a huge impression on me, and I love that riff. But I don't know. I don't know if I sound like bogus by saying this, but like when I hear that like other Stone Temple Pilots album, and it's kind of like STP Light to me, where I don't know. When you're waiting for something for so long and maybe it doesn't deliver, but that's just to me. But I feel like that fucking Alice in Chains, like they're coming back with a new singer after all these years. I mean, like, I feel like there's even more eyes on you because everyone knows what happened with Scott Weiland. They had like singers in between and stuff like that, but this is like their singer passed away and they were gone for a long time, and it's like, okay, let's see what this guy can do, and it's sick. And like he delivered, and they're still playing to this day. And actually, so is Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains on this one.
Fair enough. It's a good take. Larry?
Yeah, I really like both the albums. I think I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains, and I like the Check My Brain came out. We all talked about that riff, everything, but the rest of the album really is up to par with that song, and it really keeps that whole like energy and vibe intact, start to finish, with just killer riffs and just like heavy shit. And the singer came through.
Oh, yeah.
He really came through, and I really like the album, and I like the STP album too. There's like some almost direct Zeppelin moves that happen in that STP album with like the guitar, the slide work on the guitar, and like
Yes.
some of their little like transitions from section to section are totally like Zeppelin moves, which I really like. And that album's badass. But I don't know. I'm just gonna lean with Alice in Chains.
Wait, what song was it on though on the STP album? Like he had this side solo and literally sounded like Dancing Days.
Yeah, that's something that I'm referring to when I'm talking about that. Yeah, it is. Hold on, I should know it.
Yeah. There's a lot of good guitar.
I believe
on
it's
that.
Huckleberry Crumble
Could be it.
or Fast as I Can. Those are the two I think that had slide in them.
It's a good album. They're both really good albums, honestly. But I totally agree with Alice saying how like that Alice in Chains album just like really delivered, you know?
It was a resurgence. Like they
Yeah.
blew up again. It was honestly sick. Like at the
Yeah.
time too.
I'm sorry, I got lost there. Where were you even at?
So Larry gave his take. So now it's Frank's turn.
Frankie.
Yeah, sorry, my brain went.
You're good. You're
Somebody
good.
check
Check
his
his
brain,
brain.
huh?
There we go. There we go. See, I was on purpose. That was a plain joke. Sorry.
So like I wasn't really into these bands when these records came out. I didn't really listen to this type of music. But so like I get what Al's saying, like the Alice in Chains one, like it definitely delivered more after such a long wait compared to the STP self-titled. But I just really enjoy the vibes of the STP album more than the Alice in Chains album. Plus I really can't get over the guy's voice on that record personally.
I know what you mean.
But on the next record, the one with the Triceratops head on it,
Yeah.
there are some really good songs on that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just got more comfortable.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just like Scott Weiland's voice. Like, it just does something for me.
Yeah,
Before
me
we-
too.
And hold on, what we're talking about? Wait, did you give your answer? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't given it yet.
Okay, what is it?
Gotta wait.
Okay.
Rushing him, huh?
Yeah, why are you rushing me, bro?
I
No,
just thought-
STP for sure.
No, STP. Okay, I thought of something really quick. Now bring it back to the time. I'll give a shout out to our buddy Brendan Meyer.
Oh yeah.
And if he was old enough at that time, he would be in Alice in Chains right now.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
Yeah, he has like a hauntingly similar voice
Oh, definitely.
and is an amazing singer.
After listening to that album, I thought about it. I was like, he would be in there right now if he was old enough. Like, at the time, like we're all the same age. He was like 12 or 13. So
Yeah, he goes out to Seattle, and he does that show, right, where it's like a tribute to Lane Staley.
Yeah, shout out Facelift, Alice
Yeah.
in Chains cover band with my homie Brendan Meyer from I think second grade, who's only hung out for the first time.
Yeah.
Great
If you're a
Lane
Alice in
Staley
Chains
tribute
fan,
singer.
definitely go check out Facelift, the cover band in the Chicagoland area.
yeah, I can't overstate it. It's crazy. Like seriously, listen to him sing.
Yeah. Wild. All right. I think Alice in Chains could take the 2 points there.
The point.
For the album versus album. Up next, we are going to do which band has the better overall catalog. So as a whole, whose catalog do you like more? And I don't get a vote, but if I did, I would choose STP. Personally, they both have great catalogs. I just think for me, what it comes down to is just I'm more of a rock guy, and I don't get into heavier stuff as much as like some good old rockin' stuff. And so I think I just connect more with STP's music as a whole in their catalog. And like I said, I feel like I really enjoy a lot of their softer, slower songs and that side to them. And yeah, so I mean, that's my take in general. But both have phenomenal catalogs as a whole. And I think Alice in Chains also has some amazing songs too. So I don't want anyone thinking I'm hating there. There's no hate. No hate at all.
No hate.
Even then, throw some hate.
No, I really,
Fuck
I
it.
really don't have any though in this situation. I mean, like with the Stone, when we did the Stones, I threw my hate out there with that Shattered whole ramble.
That's shattered bullshit.
But honestly, with these two bands, I really don't have any hatred. I really do enjoy them. I think I just connect more with like the softer side of the rock, personally, you know. So who has the better overall catalog? Let's start with Frank.
Definitely a good spin on the 2-point category. I like this. I don't know. I guess when it comes down to it, I'd have to go like Dirt versus Purple. Yeah, and I mean, like Dirt is definitely one of the greatest albums that came out of the '90s. But so is, I mean, Jar of Flies is also really good. But Purple is probably in my top 10 albums of all time. Every song on it is fucking great. But as far as catalog goes, I don't know. I kind of like. How do I word this? Like, even though the catalog for Alice in Chains is shorter with Lane, I don't know. They were definitely evolving. Like each album had its own thing. But with STP, there were so many different styles and different types of songs on each album that you kind of didn't see how they were progressing because you never were really sure what you were going to get. But with Alice in Chains, they just kept growing and growing, and each one would get a little better, a little better, a little better. So I'd have to go with Alice in Chains.
All right.
Based on just the 90s records alone. Like, I don't know. Jar of Flies is amazing. Then you get the last one, which is like, it's a MTV Unplugged. Really, really good.
Very good.
Very good.
All right. Larry?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would just go Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, just, again, I may be ignorant to the fact. I just know more Stone Temple Pilots. I've listened to them more. And that's my vote. Stone Temple Pilots. I love a bunch of their songs, a bunch of their albums.
Gotta dive in.
I gotta dive in.
You gotta dive in on Alice in Chains, bro.
I do. I do have to dive in on Alice in Chains. I really do. Because I do enjoy them. I like kind of similar to what David said. There's no hate here at all. I do like everything that I've heard from them. I'm just uneducated on the band, so that's my own fault. But I do enjoy them. But yeah, I have to go with STP.
Respect.
Respectfully.
Put some respect on it.
All right, Al.
What's actually funny about Frank is it sounds like he was going one way and then he talked himself out of it by talking up Alice in Chains. I'm going with Stone Temple Pilots because I just think I like a lot of their songs more. I mean, they definitely have that thing going for them, though, where it's like most of the songs you hear on the radio to this day is off the first two records, but maybe that's because those two records were so special.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just like them a lot better. I just like their whole catalog. Like, I got a few Alice in Chains songs that I like really, really like, but I could skip some of them if that makes sense. Where like like the album Purple, I mean it's unskippable, and really the first album too. So I think for that reason I'm gonna have to go with Stone Temple Pilots, and like Larry said, like we like especially because of our like uncle and stuff. Like I definitely just been listening to them longer, so they just have a more childhood feel good feeling. Brings you back to memories and stuff.
Oh, definitely.
All right.
It's just it was a really hard question, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm
really,
gonna
really
gonna add that into the mix a little bit more because I think that's something that we've lacked, think
Good
it's
question.
think it's good to
It's a
discuss.
big picture thing.
Yeah, it's a big picture
Yeah.
thing. Good to discuss the entirety of the catalogs of ours. And they all have different sizes, so sometimes it might be like, well, this band has just a bigger catalog,
Yep.
But I think it's a good topic of conversation. All right, well, that's gonna sum up the 2-point round. Now we're gonna move into the 3-point round. Starting off with the classic, which band has more influence on our band? You can look at this however you want. Do it personally, band as a whole. Just give us your take, Tell me what you're thinking. And start off with Al.
I'm gonna pick STP all the way. Reason being, I mean, they're just more of a rock and roll band. Like they had that '90s thing going for them, kind of like they all did, but they were just way more rock and roll. And like we've been kind of beating it like a dead horse the whole time. Like they're clearly influenced by Zeppelin. And
Yep.
if you didn't hear from the first episode, they're our favorite band of all time, and we take a lot of influence from them as well. So just that alone, yeah, I think, and even if we necessarily don't know it or like, because like when I think about like my favorite players, I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, STP is my favorite band of all time. But when
Yeah.
you go down the line like that, and I think about it that way, it's for sure Stone Temple Pilots.
Yep.
Fair enough. Larry?
Yeah. I mean, what Al said. Stone Temple Pilots, just because of what I've been saying before, really. I gotta have a better answer. I wish I could have something better to say, but yeah, I mean, we sound way more like Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, we don't even sing in harmonies in that like way of Alice in Chains, and our sound is not in that
I will say
that like era. Like
we totally had the song with the them bones riff.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is true. Like
They
there are like
them bones.
subliminal things that you can get,
Yeah.
but it's not as upfront as Stone Temple Pilots is.
All right, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, STP's influenced by Zeppelin. We're influenced by Zeppelin. Bada bing, bada boom. STP.
Enough said.
Boom.
But
It's like a glove.
Alice in Chains definitely has influence, like you were saying, like
We have
not in
a
the
little
forefront,
bit,
but
yeah.
I feel like anytime you listen to any music that you like,
Yeah.
it influences you in some way.
It inspires you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the goal, Honestly, that's really what you look for when you're looking for music that you like. You're looking for inspiration to create music. So,
And it could be like an attitude of sound too.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be notes,
totally,
just like in a feel, yeah.
100%.
And that just comes to, I feel like, I mean, we all agreed. It all just comes through more obvious with Stone Temple Pilots for us. I think I speak for everybody when I say that.
Definitely. All right, next question. Which band has the bigger impact on music as a whole? And, you could be talking about musicians, talking about bands after them, or bands around the same time as them, or music business, style, pop culture, all that stuff, any of it. Which band do you think is more impactful? Let's start off with Al.
On music as a whole, I think I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains on this one. I feel like they perhaps have influenced more bands with their heavier style, and they're, like I said, there's kids like Brendan Meyer who like idolize like guys like Lane Staley, and he has that lore about him because he died early.
Yep.
So it's like kind of like the Kurt Cobain thing, dies early, and it's like what could have been, and
Yep.
like people still talk about him this day, like because he is a legend. He's freaking great, like, and no one else sound like him, and no one else would unless they try to emulate him. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like hear like newer bands like I guess that sound like Stone Temple Pilots. Like I don't know. Maybe it's because they're just a rock band and that comes from Zeppelin too. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains for this one.
All right. Larry?
I think Alice in Chains is probably a bigger band than Stone Temple Pilots. I think you'll probably hear more Stone Temple Pilots songs on the radio than you would hear Alice in Chains. But from like a diehard and like I don't want to say cult, but I feel like
Kinda.
Alice in Chains is a huge band, and like kind of what you said about Lane Staley, like they like got shut off in the middle of their prime, and that kind of that sucks. Obviously, it sucks, but I feel like that light was still there, and it's still there, and they came back with the new singer and everything like that, and they're still doing their thing. But like the '90s Alice in Chains that everybody knows and loves, I feel like is more diehard and is a bigger band than Stone Temple Pilots is.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Alice in Chains, like they were like one of the big bands. Obviously, Nirvana. Everyone says launched grunge, but like Alice in Chains definitely was doing it. Like everyone was dressing like them. Everyone was, there was like
Yeah.
pop culture thing. Like
They were cool.
yeah, exactly. It was cool
They were cool.
to dress
man.
dirty and like fucking wear whatever you want. Fucking flannels around your waist, band tees, cut off shirts, long hair, bandanas, like fucking yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think Alice in Chains is just the more impactful band on music and on people.
They had that. It's like the '90s sound. Like
Yeah.
you think of,
Yeah.
you would if somebody says name a '90s band, I would say Alice in Chains.
Yeah, you're gonna hear
You know.
them before you're gonna hear someone say Stone Temple Pilots.
Yep.
Well, I would say generally, yeah.
Generally, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally, yeah. If,
You
like,
could argue the fact, which is what we're doing now.
Exactly.
So-
I'm talking about like in 2020, in 2022, it's more common to see an Alice in Chains T-shirt
Yeah.
than it is to see a Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah,
t-shirt.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But I do think that you might hear more songs from Stone Temple Pilots on
On the radio.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear the Rooster probably every day
Yeah, that too.
on 95.5.
that's true. Yeah,
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 but
it
I also
plays
hear
like
Plush
once a
every
day.
day, and I
Interstate Love Song.
Interstate Love Song.
All right. Well, Chain's going to take them points there. Now we're going to head into the bonus round.
Bonus round.
Bonus round.
Yeah.
The bonus round. The roundest bonus of them all.
These are the rounds. bonus.
What?
The roundest
know what
bonus
that even
there
meant.
could ever be.
I hope I didn't offend anybody with
The
that.
roundest bonus that you can ever even imagine.
That's what this is.
I get them round.
All right. Bonus round. Start off with Frank. Work our way around. Got some points or
Ooh,
what?
Yeah, let me think about this one for a second. Yeah, so I'm gonna give 5 points to Alice in Chains for having a legendary MTV Unplugged session. Probably, I would say even more legendary than the Nirvana one.
Yeah.
It's like the last time Lane played live, and
Good.
very good, crazy
Really
good.
impressive.
That is
because-
technically the last release.
That is
the last album.
so. Yeah, 5 points for that. Let's see, STP. I'm gonna give 5 points to STP because there was one night I was in my bedroom when I had to move back in with my parents' house, and this STP song got stuck in my head, and I didn't know the words. I only knew like the notes he was singing, and I was like, "What is this song?" I started messaging musicians that I know,
Trying to figure it
and
out.
everybody I asked, they were like, "I don't know, man. I don't know." I literally sent them the voice memo of the song.
Yeah.
And shout out to Nick Riffle because he was the only one who knew the answer, and it was paper hole.
Yeah.
tripping on a hole in a
tripping
paper
on a hole in a
heart.
paper heart.
Yep.
Tripping on a hole in a paper heart. I love that song.
Yeah, fire song. So 5 points to that, just because I've never experienced something like that in my life, where I had a song stuck in my head and I had no idea what it was, but I was like in love with it.
Awesome. Very cool.
Boom.
All right. Larry, what's your bonus points?
I'll give 5 to Alice in Chains for vocal harmonies alone and just the vocal presence of their band.
Huge.
I'm gonna give
Huge.
I'm gonna give 4 points to Stone Temple Pilots for just their overall creativity,
Like it.
and they're just like, I don't want to say they're not like extremely diverse where they sound like crazy different. They all have, it's all under their umbrella, but it's a big ass umbrella,
Yeah.
and they still have the Stone Temple Pilots way. Even no matter how far right or left you go with their sound, they still have the Stone Temple Pilot sound, and that's the cost of those points.
Awesome. Al, what do you got for the bonus round?
So I'm only giving 3 points to Stone Temple Pilots. For the badass, I mean, it has nothing to do with the band, but it kind of does. It has to do with Scott Weiland. It's for the badass cup of coffee called Velvet Revolver.
Ooh.
Because that shit was fucking sick. The
Damn.
band's sick. Slash
it.
is awesome. Fucking amazing shit.
Love it.
Here comes the water.
I mean, I'm a huge Slash fan, so it's like anything that he does, I'm just...
And pair with his vocals. It just works.
It's
Yep.
so good. So good.
He's had another oddball like Axel. Like, gee, this guy knows how to pick him, huh?
Right.
I was like, thank
He
God
loves the
Miles
lead singer
Kennedy's a
disorder.
good. But and then the next one, I'm giving 5 points, and this is the little fun fact thingy for all you little guppies out there. I'm giving 5 points to Alice in Chains for "Man in the Box" being the theme song for the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer,
Tommy
in
Dreamer.
ECW.
We saw him. We saw him live.
Yes, and he couldn't use it in WWE or anything like that for copywriting. They didn't want to pay for it, but he came out to it on indie shows because that's not like a big deal. And ECW probably has a bunch of lawsuits on him because they didn't pay for any of that shit.
He had that in the 90s in
Bro,
ECW. as
Man
a
in the
song.
Box, bro, fucking hardcore.
Tommy Dreamer.
He come out, down, down,
I
down.
never really noticed that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Fucking
super sick.
Dreamer, baby.
That's badass.
So yeah, that's my 5 points. Badass.
I love it. So I'm gonna give 1 point to STP for like a one lyric. So in "Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart," I did notice this a long time ago, but when I was going through this for the podcast, I rediscovered it and I was like, God, that's just so cool. So one of the stanzas, if you will, he says, "Sippin' lemon yellow booze, old lead belly sings the blues."
Awesome.
I really just think that is badass.
Yeah.
Talking about lead belly.
Most
So
definitely.
I have to give him a point on that one. I just thought that's it's a really cool line to drop in a song. Mad respect. I love when people do that stuff, you know? It gets me going. It's just like, dang, cool. Very, very cool. So, yeah, that's my 1 point for SCP.
It's going to be a close one.
Drop my pen. So, that's going to be it, and we have a tie.
No.
You're lying.
We have a tie.
You're lying, dude. What?
Dude, it's because it's because I gave the less points. That
Oh my God.
I said it was pretty neck and neck all along. I feel like in the beginning it was really leaning STP, and then they kind of started jabbing back like towards the end of the talk.
Can't count them out.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, hell no. I mean, it's
So-
a tie. I mean, I would call it a tie.
It's a tie,
An honest tie.
23-23, but I feel like we got to come up with some way to do a tiebreaker.
Oh
This
shit.
is crazy.
You know? Do we flip
Honestly,
a
this is
coin?
crazy.
Do we have something we could do? You know?
you know what?
On a coin toss, man. I mean, it's a tie.
There's
Frank-
gotta be something.
okay, in the event of a tie, Frank and Larry are gonna do rock paper scissors, best 2 out of 3.
Oh shit.
Or, yeah. Or you
Who's-
could arm wrestle.
Who's
But
Ooh.
people can't see that, I guess, either way. It's not
Yeah.
entertaining, so.
Yeah, but the rock paper scissors is more chance.
Who's who? I'll do Alice in Chains.
All right. I knew you were gonna rep Allison James.
There we go.
Hardcore
I
baby.
think,
Right
I
on.
think it's fair.
All right, on
All right.
shoot.
We have a rock, paper, scissors
Not
matchup
really
going
shooting.
on, everybody.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ooh, Larry with the first win.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh,
it's a tie right now.
Oh, we're tied
There you
up.
go.
Frankie with the second win.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh,
STP.
fucking
Larry pulls away, and
STP
STP is
takes the
going to
gold.
get the win.
That was a
Wow.
good one. We were definitely.
Yeah.
What's up? What's
It was
his,
the battle
What's his
supreme.
other one? You know?
These guys
Wow.
like came down to fucking rock paper scissors.
Yeah, here we are. Maybe we'll think of a more creative tiebreaker in the future, but this was our first tie. We weren't really prepared for it, and I think it was a well-deserved tie.
Definitely
know?
good choices.
Yeah, I mean, two great bands. In our eyes, like pretty equally matched up, and
Clearly,
say
what
it
a
was
tie.
it was a
Yeah.
good episode.
Wow.
It's a good episode.
Final thoughts, anyone?
Yeah.
Love for them both.
Yeah, it's just
I want to say something.
let it ride.
I think my favorite thing about the 90s era of rock music is that I feel like it was the last time we really got authentic, original rock bands creating a new style and sound and really having their own thing. And people might disagree with that statement because, yeah, you could say like there's like pop punk and there's like these other subgenres, but like I really look at like a lot of these 90s bands as like way more down the middle, mainstream rock bands. Like personally, like yeah, there is other rock music out there, but I don't think we've seen anything like that since.
No
Like
way.
an
So-
all-time list.
Yeah,
Like they
so
make
like
the all-time
huge props.
list.
Yeah, you know, like
for
I
sure.
don't see people like maybe you could say like you know your Green Day, but they were a '90s band.
Yeah, exactly.
Going into the 2000s. That's kind of my whole point here. Is like I feel like there hasn't been that since.
Yep.
So I have to give them mad props. That's just you know my opinion, and
I agree.
I would love to get another wave of just like killer rock bands like that. It would be awesome. Not saying there aren't good rock bands, but like it's like a whole wave of it happening.
Yeah.
Like a whole scene.
Yeah, there are so many
movement.
bold names in the 90s of just so
Yeah,
many different
dude.
bands. Yeah.
A whole era of just like a lot of good music.
It was like the last gasp of like electric bands before like electronics took
Yeah,
over.
and it's like I feel like nowadays there's like your here and there bands, you know.
For sure.
And I mean there's a lot of good bands in the 2000s, but like it's like in the 2000s I feel like rock music went soft. It went way more alternative.
Yep.
And there are a lot of good bands, and there was a lot of good like popular rock bands. You know, one of my favorite bands, Kings of Leon, but I wouldn't consider them like a hard rock band. I'd consider them just more like a softer rock band, like
Yeah.
pop rock.
You could even consider the Foo Fighters like a 90s band.
Yeah, they started in the 90s,
I mean, they had huge hits in the 90s, yeah.
but they carried throughout a long time.
Right.
Definitely one of my favorite modern rock bands. But end of my rant. I just, you know, something that I feel.
Good final thought.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
All right.
All right. Well, that's been Arbor Creek's Battle Supreme. Check us out on all our social media handles and check out arborcreektheband.com for our latest updates. Thank you all. Peace out. Bye.
Supreme, fight for your legacy.